What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Relaxing Thoughts Podcast. I am your host, Digital Relaxation, and we are back again with another episode, hitting us with 31. So I guess this is going to be the first episode of the next month. Even though, well, I'm not even going to get into it, but before we get into anything, as always, please be sure to share this podcast, rate it 5 stars if you haven't, and all of that good stuff so we can grow. But, on to the usual, what I've been up to since the last episode. Well, not so much about me. This should be about everybody. What has everybody been? Well, more specifically, how everybody Thanksgiving was. Hope everyone had a good time. Ate, enjoyed their time with the family, friends, or whatever. I know people be having those friend givings or whatever they be calling them. I don't know. Yeah, you guys do that instead of Thanksgiving, or sometimes they dedicate another day to it, then they do another Thanksgiving. So I don't know, but if you did either or some reason sadly done none, I don't know. Hope you guys just had a good time. Sometimes it's cool just to, as long as you enjoy your own company, it's all right. There's a lot of other people who the woke people in the world who we don't really celebrate Thanksgiving, like the history tradition about it. It's just about being with your family and all of that. So it's whatever how people see it. As for me, unfortunately, because of my schedule and whatnot, having to work, I had to work on Thanksgiving. It wasn't bad, honestly. That wasn't an issue. I wasn't even working for that long. But it was because I'm working the next day. Next day was very, very, very heavy. That was probably the heaviest I had to work since I started working there. But yeah, so because of that, as I mentioned last episode, my mother's birthday is the same day as Thanksgiving, and she wanted me to go with her for Thanksgiving to her other family member's house, but I couldn't. And even if I could, it would have been. It would have just. I probably would have spent more time going there than actually being there would be the thing. It's like I would go there, get there, spend time with them, eat, whatever, and then I had to leave, and it's far drive going back and forth. So I don't know, just save myself that trip. So I spent Thanksgiving over here with my father and his family and whatnot. It was cool, nothing special, simple. We didn't have anybody really over like that, so it was just small condensed family dinner thing. It was alright. nothing to rave about. The food was good. The environment was good. Everybody was in good spirits, healthy, good. But yeah, like I said, after that, had to work, especially Black Friday. Yeah, that was tough. But yeah, I can only imagine that might only get more heavy, probably because of Cyber Monday as well. So even more extra shopping and whatnot. I probably may have luckily, according to my tracking numbers, I should be good, but I also ordered something too. But yeah, that's mainly it. Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving and if you guys shot for Black Friday and whatnot. Hope you guys, well, if you guys went out for Black Friday, I hope you guys were safe. I heard stories about people just being trapped in the parking lot because they just couldn't get anywhere. So hopefully you guys had a safe experience and got things that y'all wanted. And yeah, but going on from that, I did mention, I just want to get this out the way, that I wanted to watch the new James Bond movie so I could talk about it here, but I just haven't been in the movie watching mood recently. Like, I don't know. I guess it's like, that's one of the downsides of watching movies when you are home, like watching new films. Like, I don't know. Like, you gotta really be in the mood to like dedicate your time and your attention, because you got so many things. Like, you can look at your phone anytime you want. It's not like the movie theater and whatnot. But yeah, so it's not like the movie theaters and whatnot where they urge you to take your phone off put it on silent or whatever and things. But yeah, when you home, you can press pause, like usually when you go to the bathroom, when you're missing a scene or something, you gotta come back. Hopefully if you're watching with someone, like, oh, what did I miss? But like, hey, you can just pause. It just takes you out the immersion. So it's just like, I don't know. Some films, you just gotta be dedicated to watching them and just be in the mood to watch them. So fortunately, I still haven't watched the James Bond movie yet. I also haven't even been streaming. I think I streamed once, and I don't know. I was just like, the moment I turned the game on, like my energy was just gone. Like, I was looking forward to it, and yeah, it was just gone. I didn't even feel like streaming no more. But so I don't know. Just been, I don't know. It's hard to explain it. I guess like it's up and down with my moods. Like, I've been in the mood for some things, and I haven't been in the mood for other things. So I couldn't watch that film, fortunately. But the Hawkeye show, I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, but I feel like they did not like advertise that it was like right around the corner. Like, I know the trailers came out, I seen the trailer, but by the time the trailer came out, I already forgot when it was. I'm not putting things on my calendar or nothing. So they never advertised like, a week away or whatever. Like, hey, don't forget Hawkeye's about to come out. Everybody was focusing on Spider-Man, which is funny. Oh my God, which is funny. Like, the moment I stopped recording my last episode of the podcast, I saw the new trailer for Spider-Man dropping. I'm like, bro, I could have talked about that. But so I could talk about it here, I guess. Well, a little bit. So, yeah, I'll go into Spider-Man first because it'll be kind of quicker to talk about it. I mean, it's just a trailer. I'm going to try to avoid watching any other trailers from here on out because we already know, like, it's like it's within the community that we know that the other Spider-Mans are going to be in it, but, they're not trying to confirm it, and I just don't want them to confirm it through trailers. I don't know. I want to be completely surprised when I see it, so I'm not gonna try to watch any more new trailers that come out in the hopes that they might end up like showing them in the film or in the trailer. So I'm gonna just go off with just this one trailer that came out, the teaser that came out in the trailer. So I'm trying to do this off of memory because, yeah, it was a while ago since that trailer dropped. But the trailer, of course, revealed more of the villains. In the teaser, we only got Doc Ock, and we only got like the little glimpse of Goblin just showing his bomb and his laugh, but that was about it. They didn't show him physically, so we only saw Ock physically. And then of course there was a lot of other scenes where they were showing like little glimpses of things. People like, oh, that looks like that could be Sandman right there. I look like that could be Electro and that could be Lizard. But they were quick flashes. So this trailer basically confirmed like all of them, like they physically actually shown them, like you can see them. So going with that, I don't know. I don't want to say I don't know. Like this one is definitely more like now. Just like now, like that's why it's kind of obvious that the other Spider-Man is gonna come. Like you're literally like ripping these dudes out from the specific source material. Like I can understand they were all made as characters that's like maybe you could get away with Doc Ock maybe if they changed his clothing. And it's like, no, just because he was a good actor, they just made him reprise his role. And they could have did the same thing with Goblin. Like, oh, William Dafoe is a GOAT, especially with his voice work. They could have just did a whole new Goblin design, but no, they specifically went with the Sam Raimi design. Electro would be the only one where it's like, hey, we're just gonna use the same actor, but he's a different Electro because he completely looks different from the Amazing Spider-Man film where he was all blue and bald. Like this one's man got the fresh shape up and everything. Like he ready. But also like his attire and his ability, this one seems more like it's not natural. Like something is helping him. So people was theorizing that he's using, well, you can kind of see it, that he's using Iron Man arc reactor on the chest plate to generate the energy. And it's kind of like reminiscent to Whiplash in the second Iron Man film where he uses the arc reactor to generate electricity. But he's just taking it to a whole nother level where he's basically like becoming electricity at times. So I don't know this one. Like that's the weird one. Like his backstory might be different. They might be retconning his story maybe. Cause the first Electro was more like, oh, it's basically like he's basically the Spider-Man of electricity. Like, oh, like he has happened to go into a tank full of different electric eels or whatever. He absorbed the power and that's how he became it naturally. But this one seems like he's using technology, so I don't know the story behind why he's doing it, I guess. So that one might be weird. Lizard, he pretty much looks just about the same as the first Amazing Spider-Man film. Sandman's the only one who looks different, like, obviously the Sand, but like even like that, like they could have like copied like how he looked when he was in his Gollum form, but he actually looks different. So we don't know if they're gonna show him in his human form and if it's gonna be the same dude who's gonna reprise the role or not. So that's gonna be interesting. And I don't know if I want to talk about this. Like I mentioned it last time because I watched the movie and I didn't want to spoil it that episode, but it's like, since we're getting to speculation territory and theories territory, I had to spoil the Venom post-credit scene because this may tie into this movie. So if you have not, even though I just kind of gave a light spoiler, if you have not seen the Venom movie again, and you have not seen the post-credit scene for whatever reason, but you did see the movie, go back and watch it. Spoiler alerts, skip somewhere, I don't know. But in the post-credit scenes of Venom, Eddie and Venom finally, they went to their little vacation that they talked about, or Venom kind of talked about. So they just on this island and just relaxing on a resort, and Venom was supposed to show him something. I don't know, I guess a new ability he has or whatever. He was supposed to show him something, and then while he was doing it, like the whole world just started shaking and distorting around him, and then next thing they just seemed like they just teleported to another location. And then they showed the TV playing the news, which it was playing the basically playing the news from this trailer, the new Spider-Man, when they show like Jameson talking about it on the news, and I guess Far From Home, the ending. So it's tying in both of these films, saying that where they are, this Spider-Man movie is happening at the same time of where they are. So that most likely means it's possible that Venom may be showing up in this movie as well. Two things with that one before we get into this, because I know they want to do the whole Sinister Six, and I think it's only 5 of them right now. So people speculating who the 6th could be. I can see it being Venom, but I can also see Venom just, joining Spider-Man eventually, because the only reason why is because of how Venom and Brock are, like their relationship is, they want to help people. That's the whole thing. I didn't get why Venom was so intrigued with Peter Parker when he seen him on TV as well. Like he just like, oh, this guy, like I want to kill him type thing. Like, he didn't even do nothing to you. So I could see Venom wants to just go after him, but I think Brock is gonna be the one like, we need to, like, we don't even know why we going after him. Like we gotta figure things out. So I think they eventually just team up. But yeah, then of course there's the infamous edit mishap where I think it's the Brazilian trailer for the Spider-Man film. It shows that scene where Spider-Man is going to attack, he's going to attack Sandman, and Lizard and Electro is there too. Like they all about to like do like this little 1-on-3 thing, but the camera angle clearly shows the other two are going towards something else, not towards Tom Holland's Peter Parker. So people wondering like, oh, this is probably just, they just digitally removed whoever the other two people are. And then the Brazilian trailer actually shows like an extended clip from that scene like a few seconds later, and they show Lizard looking like he's getting hit by something, but obviously there's nothing there. So like we just see his head just turn like something hits him, clearly showing that someone else is in that scene that they removed that's hitting Lizard. So of course they speculating that's the other two Spider-Man that's doing that. But also could be Venom as well. Like I said, I can totally see Venom joining Spider-Man eventually. That looks like that's more like a final fight location as well, so I can see it. Doctor Strange, I don't want Doctor Strange to look bad. Like they show scenes where it seems like, if he's can easily take down Spider-Man, but then there's other scenes where Spider-Man's like evading him a little bit, and it's like, nah. But because it's a Spider-Man film, so I guess they gotta make him look good. But yeah, and I don't like Doctor Strange not being able to control a lot of his spells as well in this film, even though this is dealing with multi-universe thing. But I think I brought this up before or not, I don't remember, but they speculated about how he when he fought Dormammu in his first film, like we only saw the little compilation of how many times he fought Dormammu and died, but we don't know the exact amount of time he did. And they speculate, I forgot, they did give a number, but I forgot. But the point is that he had a lot of time, even though barely moments has passed in the real world, he had a lot of time to, get better at his spells while he was there. And then not to mention how many times he done traveled in the future when he was looking at all the possible possibilities to fight Thanos. Just a lot of time like he has to develop all these abilities without a lot of time passing. I feel like he should be way more experienced than he should be, kind of thing. So I don't know. We'll see. What else? I don't like. I mean, that kind of becomes Spider-Man's gimmick lately. Like, especially like ever since, I want to say probably since the third Spider-Man movie. Even though the first two Amazing Spider-Man movie was in terms of costumes. What I mean by as in how many times he switches costumes. Like, this becoming like kind of a gimmick thing for Spider-Man. Like, it always has been. Like, even in the games, like unlocking all his suits, variations was like always a thing. And it's like that's kind of been his thing throughout the whole MCU. Like, how many times he switches his suit in one film. Like, in Civil War, we saw, a little glimpse of him in his little onesie suit. Then he got the Stark suit upgrade. Same thing in Far From Home. We saw the two suits in actual action. I mean, not far. That's it. I don't know. Homecoming was the first one. Then the second one was Far From Home, I think. I don't know. But he had the spider monkey, the night monkey suit, whatever. But he had the stealth suit. He had the regular Stark suit, I think. No, it was there, but no. He had the Avengers. Wow, why is the word not coming to me? The Iron Spider suit. Jeez. But he had that suit. But he had it charging, but they showed him using it, I think, in the beginning of the film. But he was charging it. So that's why he didn't bring it with him on the trip. So he had the night suit. But I think Aunt May packed his original suit. So it was present, but I don't think he wore it. I don't remember. But then he designed the red and black one. So like, this man went through like 4 different suits in one film. Then in this movie, just off the trailer alone, we don't even know what's going to happen in the actual movie. But he went with he has his regular suit, the black and red. The Iron Spider suit was in the trailer. Then I guess it was the inside out suit. There's the black and gold looking suit. Apparently, like, it's his suit that slipped inside out. I forgot the reason why he did that, but yeah, he did it. And then they showed him with the suit where he can use Doctor Strange's spells and whatnot. And yeah, who knows? And I think there's a new Iron Spider variant too. I think there's another version to that suit. So yeah, this man is just like changing suits like every other scene. It's like, I don't know, like it's the same thing. It's like going back to that speech. It's like, you ain't nothing without the suit. You shouldn't wear it. It's like, how many times, like literally, like the Stark suit, she said he designed it to have everything because I've seen like these clips and videos of like these little Easter eggs that almost every time when Iron Man like has like a big adversary or a big issue with his suit from every film, he will build upon that suit. But they also noticed that they put pretty much everything that he dealt with into the Spider-Man suit so that he won't have to ever be in that situation that Tony was ever in, because that suit's already gonna have everything in it. And it's like, yet he still gotta keep changing suits. Like, he just, I don't know, it's just too much. So yeah, I'm just tired of him changing suits. Like, he needs to just have his look already and just stick to that look. Like, I'm tired, like, oh, this movie gonna be black and red. Oh, next movie gonna be the Iron Spider-Man, orange and gold and whatever. Like, I don't know. He just needs to have a solid look. I don't know. Like even with the first two Amazing Spider-Man movies, even though they were two different suits, it was like if you're not like if you're not really paying attention to the suit details, you could mistake them both being the same suit. Like that's how close in design they were in terms of like even the color scheme and whatnot. But they are two completely different suits. So and then of course the Sam Raimi trilogy. I mean, he went with the same suit pretty much in all three films. It was just the first movie and the last movie. It's the only time he changed suits in the film, which his original, sweater design before he got the suit and then the black suit. So, I don't know. He just need to make his mind up about his freaking look. I'm just ranting about Spider-Man. It's supposed to be quick, I said. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for the movie. Mostly, just to see the other Spider-Man, see how they react. Mostly I just want to see Toby. But, yeah. But that's that. But yeah, going into Hawkeye now, finally. So yeah, the first two episodes just, for me, in my eyes, randomly just came out of nowhere. They dropped. I don't know the schedule though. Let me see if I can search it up real quick. Wednesday? Well, there you go. When I upload this episode, the new episode, so I'm guessing it's gonna be a Wednesday thing. What if? So that's good and sucks because, like I said, the next episode is coming out when I drop this episode, so I can't talk about the third episode. But yeah, it's just gonna keep conflicting with me. We'll see. But yeah, so the first two episodes dropped, and it's only gonna be 6 episodes. That sucks. Why are you doing Hawkeye dirty? Well, I don't know. Now I'm more concerned because one little issue I have with this series is that I feel like it's quick, and even like the little endings or the little, when they end the episodes, like usually you can feel the tension of like, oh, it's about to end in like this cliffhanger or something, but it just be ending abruptly. It's weird. Like, I don't know. So like, I feel like the show be going by a little too fast. But besides the point. So the first episode, well, I'm not gonna go into like spoilers or nothing. I'm just gonna talk about them both all together. But I want to talk about something in the first episode, kind of like a theory of mine. I have not really seen anybody talk about it yet. So the show, I like it. I like Hawkeye. He's cool. Like once they finally gave him some personality, mainly in Civil War. I mean, not Civil War. The second Avengers. I wouldn't mind watching like his stuff, and the actor who plays Hawkeye. His name is escaping me, but I watched one of his films. It was the one with where they play in the tag game. I forgot what it's called. It was like he plays the guy who's like never been tagged since they was kids and whatnot. Like I just like he's good like as an actor. Like so I'm familiar with his style of like how he can diverse himself. So it's cool. I like the show. The new Hawkeye. It's leading up that this girl's gonna be the new Hawkeye. She's cool. I feel like she's, like I said, because I just now noticed that this episode, the show is only 6 episodes. They rushing a lot of things. I don't like it. Her character was getting weird in the second episode. Like, it was like she's trying to like solve what's going on in the show within one episode. I'm like, bro, like build it up. Like she's just over here asking all these questions and like all this obvious stuff. Is like, yeah, we kind of get it, but it's like slow down. But I think that's also might be done on purpose, because it's possible that because she's like constantly like interrogating this one dude, and I think he's like playing with her on purpose so that she can be misled to who's the real baddie of the show is. So I don't know, but show is cool. I like it. Good humor, good, like a good slice of life edition of Avengers stuff, like, you know, compared to seeing super soldiers and the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like everybody was super soldiered up. What was the next show? What if Loki, of course, everyone was sorcerers and magicians and wizards in Loki, so it was like seeing a lot of people with powers and whatnot. And you know, Hawkeye just, hey, once again, I'm just a dude with a bow and arrow. Because they show her character, they explain like, you know, how she got into being who she is, and took that to the next level of like trying to just become better. And yeah, but something I did want to talk about in the first episode, kind of spoilers, not really. It was in the trailer, but I don't know, you know, if people are sitting there deep diving the trailers. But they showed there's a musical Broadway showing like the Avengers, like the Battle of New York scene. So like I said, slight spoilers, whatever. Like I said, I mean, you've seen the movie, you should know it's just a musical version of it. So they just thinking about it, and Hawkeye character was with his kids and whatnot, and he was like, oh, she was like, oh, like is the show boring or whatnot? It's like, it's not that. It's like, oh, I've been there. I know what happens next. It's like it's not like I'm gonna get some plot twist or whatever. Like I was physically there, but he was like, I know one person wasn't there, and they got a guy who was playing as Ant-Man in the musical for whatever reason. He was not there. But that leads into like a kind of a theory of mine. Like, I mean, if time travel and all of that is work, then all of this is, you know, usually the whole concept of that, it actually does happen in like some kind of loop. Like, even though they created a branch, but it's possible that when they did go back in time, because, you know, gotta remember Tony and Steve went to go do their side mission, and they left Scott by himself. And so I wonder if someone, I guess saw Ant-Man before he left, or if he went and did something before he left. So that's why they got him in the musical. Like, oh, he actually was there, but, you know, just he wasn't doing nothing major. Just someone saw him, and that's why he there. And then once he got more known in Civil War, people was able to pinpoint like, oh wait, I know who that guy. He was there during the fight in New York, and that's why they put him there. So I don't know. It's just weird to think about like what the time heist could have done or did do that we didn't know, and they kind of like showing it. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a good show. It's a change of pace, especially, you know, they going with the Christmas theme, in which I just noticed that this show, after all 6 episodes, it still ends before Christmas. So there you go. It's a good Christmas warm-up show before we get into Christmas. And that's why 6 episodes, they said 6 days for him, or 5 days for him to, yeah, okay. All right, this makes sense now. But yeah, that's that. Other than that, I haven't been doing anything else. like I said, I haven't been streaming. I've just been playing games though, casually playing games, but I haven't been streaming. Actually, I think I did talk about it in the last episode. I don't remember, but I'm going to try to talk about this a little bit again. I don't remember if I did talk about it, or I don't remember if it was already out when I talked about it. That's what I'm saying. But I did launch or start like another side series kind of podcast type thing where it focus on mainly just video games for the most part, while playing video games with my guests. Like I said, I kind of have no hope for that one, so that's why I'm not really promoting it or trying so hard with it. I still only got one episode done, but might rebrand it again and make it a legit podcast. But this one's gonna be the same concept, but I might try to have a permanent co-host, and if we get guests as well. But I just don't want to do another solo podcast. So if I do it, I'm gonna try to have a permanent co-host with me. So this one is gonna be a video and audio thing, so you can either watch us play the game or just listen to us. But like I said, I have nothing that's set in stone and none of that, but if I do, I'll mention it here on the next episode or whatever episode when I decide to make that decision. But that's where I'm going. So it's possible I might launch another podcast that's strictly for gaming, and whatever else we talk about there. I'm gonna try not to make it too diverse, because that's what mainly kind of what this podcast is about. But yeah, but that's mainly it. Yeah, so going to the next topic, I guess, which this topic is more, I guess, I want to talk to, I guess, you guys. I want to talk to the listeners and whatnot. I just feel like, I don't know, I just want to be more direct with you guys in terms of because like I said, one thing I always kind of struggled with whenever I do things, whether it's my music or my YouTube or whatever, is not really gaining proper feedback or discussions from anyone who listens to my stuff or watch my stuff. The views and the likes and the downloads are there, but I don't know who, so that's the problem. So so just going into that, for whoever are listening to my podcast that I do not know about, I don't know. Well, I guess this one is me asking questions for you guys to answer yourself, but if possible, if you can contact me and answer these questions to me, that'd be much more appreciated. Yeah, like I said, I'm on, I don't really promote it that much, but I'm on Instagram as, you could just search, what you call it. Let me try to find this real quick. I'm pretty sure you can just type in digital relaxation on Instagram and maybe find me. But I think it's digital underscore, or not digital, digi underscore relaxation on Instagram. I got to find it to make sure, because I know that one and my Twitter, one is the other, so trying to make sure. But what you call it? Either my Twitter is digi underscore relaxation, or my Instagram is, and the other one is dot relaxation. So one is dot and one is underscore. Yeah. Why don't I have Instagram on here? That's interesting. But yeah, I'm also on TikTok if you guys want to go on there. But I put some of my podcast clips here, but I mostly also put my gaming stuff on there too. I mean, if you want to follow me on that too, Digital Relaxation on that. But I think Twitter, I am digi.relaxation. Let me make sure. No, actually, I'm just Digi Relaxation. Oh, there's no dot or underscore. All right, so on Twitter, if you guys want to contact me on there, I'm not on there a lot, but I'll check. I usually see like my notifications or whatever. But Digi Relaxation, one word. If caps matter, just cap Digi and Relaxation, the D and the R. And as I say on Instagram, I should be Digi_relaxation. Yeah, Digi_relaxation. If you want to check me out there. And I mean, wherever, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you can possibly find me. But yeah, so if you guys want to contact me and answer these questions to me directly, you can. But I guess this is for you personally, if you just want to answer it yourself, whatever. So yeah, of course, the obvious question is, why do you guys even listen to my podcast? I mean, not in like a way like, why are you even here? Like what? Like, how did you find it, I guess, while I was promoting it or something? I don't know how you really know. I don't know these things. I don't know, how did you find my podcast and what made you, give it a shot? And if you listen to an episode and they're like, hey, I think I'm just going to keep following this podcast. Like, what is it about this show that makes you stick around and keep listening to it? I'm curious to know who my listening fan base, or I'm trying to think of the word, it's not in my head right now. Wow, it's gonna kill me. But yeah, just trying to figure out who's listening and who I'm who I'm targeting and whatnot, like who's my listener, my audience and whatnot. But yeah, like, why you guys listen? And of course, again, like I said, if it's possible, if you can contact me or whatnot, if there's any feedback you guys would like to give me, if there's any questions that you want to ask, anything you guys feel I should start talking about or stop talking about, maybe you're tired of hearing about me talking about video games or stuff, or I don't know, any feedback, or you just truly just enjoy the podcast and just want to let me know that I'm doing a good job or a bad job. Yeah, just want to know who's out there, how you guys feel about the podcast and whatnot, and how you found it. But going away from that, these questions are more personal to you. But yeah, so kind of, if you don't know my story, I talked about it plenty of times, but if you knew how I got into podcasts and whatnot. Wow, making a lot of noise. Yeah, so I got into podcasts, of course, first by listening to it. But of course, that was a journey in itself, in a sense. The first time I found out about a podcast was from a YouTuber that I was following. And his videos was like it was video games, for the most part. Like, you do like trolling videos or reviews and other gaming discussion stuff. And then, one day I just seen him upload this long, this almost hour-long video. I'm like, bro, like, what is this, a live stream or something? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, he don't usually do videos like this. So I clicked it and I'm like, oh, it's a podcast. It's him and two other people. They just talk about video games. And I'm like, I don't want to sit here and just listen to you guys talk for like an hour about video games. Like, just, I don't know. It just didn't sound appealing at the time. So I just turned a blind eye to it and just whatever. I watched all his other stuff, but whenever I saw like the podcast videos was uploading, I'm like, skip. So it wasn't until like he got towards like the 20th, the 30th, like one around that range, those episodes, and I'm like, oh, he's still doing this, and I'm just curious as to why he's still doing it. And I'm like, I guess clearly people are listening to it or whatnot. So I'm like, you know what? I'll listen to it, see what it's about. At this time too, I was in college. I think I was still in high school when he started the podcast. Not 100% sure. Either that or I was like probably a freshman in college. But at this time, it was probably a year or so had passed at this point into college. So think about when I was going to school, I had to I traveled mainly using public transportation and walking a lot. Like all together to get to my school or to get back home was about an hour or so. And that's hoping I caught the bus. So yeah, it's like, gets to a point where, and like I said, I was at the point of my life where I was doing a lot of soul searching and finding out things that I know. Like, I talked about this in a episode, so whatever. Like, when I was reinventing myself because I was like trying to be something else during my high school years. So trying to figure out who I was again. So I was listening to different music, of course, but you can't listen to so much music and want something different. So I gave podcasts a chance, and like I already support most of his videos and whatnot. Like, why can't I support this? So listen to it while I'm going home from school, and it was just it just changed my whole perspective. I was like, bro, this is amazing. Like, just hearing them talk about video games and hearing the things they're talking about, hearing their opinions on video games, and just like, and knowing their personalities and whatnot. Is like, oh, like, I get it. I get what they're saying. I get how they feel, but also hearing how they talk about things more like in an in-depth way that most people normally don't talk about things. And it's like, oh, that makes sense. Like, oh, okay. And they all got their own like individual perspective on things. So it's not like they all just saying the same thing. So like, oh, this is actually dope. So and listening to it to this day. I still listen to their podcast. But it wasn't until, let me see, what year was this that I got into the podcast? Probably the earliest 2013, if not 2014, is when I got into the podcast. I didn't decide that I want to do a podcast till 2016. Yeah, I was already done with school at this time. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I wanted to do something like that too. But not just video games. Also talk about anime as well. So it'd just be like shit up anime and video games. And originally I wanted to have a co-host. I didn't want to do it alone because, my shyness and whatnot, like it felt awkward just talking to myself. I didn't want to do it by myself. I wanted to feed off of somebody else's energy and give the most entertaining podcast I can, because I know how I am with other people compared to me by myself, just being just dry, monotone person. So I had two people in mind, but one reason for or another, I couldn't get them both to commit to this, even though if they wanted to do it or not. They just schedules and timing and whatnot, so we just couldn't do it. So podcast got put on hold, and it wasn't until I just celebrated my 1 year, didn't I? So it was still, but I'm trying to go back to I think it was still 2020 when I launched the Game and Save Zone podcast with my co-host, and that lasted for like a few months, and then we ended it, and then I went like on a 3-month break, and I finally decided to come up with this podcast, and here we are a year later. So that's my story of getting into podcasts. So my question for you guys is, how did you guys get into podcasts? Like, either listening to it, or if you listen to it and make it, like, what was the thing that got you into saying, hey, I'm gonna give this a chance, or whatnot? And yeah, was it by someone telling you, hey, there's this thing called the podcast? It's like these two guys or two girls, or one guy, whatever podcast you listen to, whoever the host is, like, hey, they talk about this and whatnot, I think you might like it, and you're like, yeah, I don't know, whatever. Or was it, like I said, did you just find it on your own? Like, how did you find my podcast? Did someone tell you about it, or did you just stumble upon, I don't know, where I was promoting it or whatever, and like, hey, I'll give it a chance. And if it was just becoming a listener, did you ever consider, hey, maybe I can do this? Or did you, so did you ever consider from listening to a podcast, hey, I can do this? And did you follow up on that or not? It's gonna be a lot of back and forth questions. Like, did you follow up on it or not? If you didn't follow up on it, what's, I guess, stopping you? And if you have followed up on it, I mean, how is your experience with podcasting overall? Are you doing it by yourself? Are you doing it with friends? Just what's your podcasting experience overall from becoming I guess a listener to a participant, actually doing it and whatnot? And how did you find the podcast that you are following, and whatnot? And speaking of, like, saying that if someone told you about a podcast, have you ever been the person to tell somebody about the podcast? No, like, hey guys, this is a podcast called the Licensed Dubs Podcast, wink wink. But yeah, like, have you ever shared, because I don't know how podcasting is, like, as it's weird. I don't want to say anything specific. This might goes into one of those, I believe they call this the Truman effect. I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna talk about it a little bit. So this thing called a Truman effect. I don't know how it, it's like just how the Mandela effect. There's some made up effects. So I think it's called the Truman, either the Truman effect or the Truman syndrome. Is one of those, something with Truman. So the reason why the Truman name is in it because of the movie, The Truman Show, with Jim Carrey. The movie is basically about how he's basically living in a world, I guess a reality TV world, but he's the only person who does not know it. Like, there's cameras everywhere just filming his life, like from when he was born to as he's an adult. Everybody who's in the town, even his wife, his friends, everyone he grew up with, they are all actors just playing a role. Like, none of these people are technically real to him in a sense. So his whole life was just a show, but he's the only person who does not know it. And just it finally got to a point where he's starting to like realize something is wrong and whatnot, and a lot of coincidences is happening and whatnot. So it's one of those situations. So like I said, there's, you can believe a lot of things and have your own opinion on things. So like, if I was to like go into like the whole Truman theory or whatever in my personal life, one thing I have always noticed in my life is like, whenever I get into something, it's like, before I get into it, nobody ever talks about these things. Like, it's just dead silent. And it's not until I get into it that it just becomes a major discussed thing, or it's just like, it just become a huge community surrounding it. So two things. One, which I got into both of these things during college, which is funny. But one, getting into ASMR. Never heard of ASMR ever in my life. Didn't understand anything about it. I randomly came across ASMR video by accident because I like to watch like cooking stuff like on YouTube, like watching people cook things on YouTube and whatnot. And one video, this dude was he was eating food and talking about things, and the title intrigued me about what he was talking about and stuff. So I'm like, all right, I'll watch. And I'm like, just sitting here looking weird, like, why is this dude smacking his food so loud? Like, chew your food with your mouth closed, my dude. And second, why are you whispering in my ear? Like, is somebody sleeping in the house and you're not trying to wake them up? I was just so confused as what's going on here. And then I'm looking at the recommended list and I'm seeing there's other people who's like doing it too. I'm like, why is everybody eating and whispering? Like, what is this? It's like, what part of YouTube did I just stumble upon? So, but I started to notice that almost in every video, there's these letters ASMR is like in the title, and I'm like, what the hell is ASMR? So I Google it and Wikipedia was like, I think something like auditory, sensory, something like that, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. So I just typed in ASMR naturally on YouTube, and of course, I got shown a lot of more stuff. It just wasn't people eating. So like, okay, so this is more to it. And I'm like, oh, and I started understanding it more, and I'm like, and then I started to understand what its purpose of, because it's things that you experience in your life. It's the sensation that you're supposed to get from ASMR. You experience these things in your life. Like, you don't understand why, and you never understood that there was actually a name for it. So finding out that there's actually a term for why I enjoy watching certain things or doing certain things, like, oh, that's what it is. It's ASMR. But yeah. So it wasn't so like I said, nobody talks about ASMR or nothing. I get into ASMR like a year or so later, it just becomes this huge thing. Then it got to a point where I'm like, like these YouTube videos, like, celebrities trying ASMR. I'm like, bruh, like, why is everybody doing ASMR all of a sudden? Like, I'm not trying to like make it sound like hipsters type stuff. Like, I'm trying to keep it secret. It's just how the moment I find out about it, now everybody's talking about it. So it was weird. Like, it's just too much coincidence about when I'm learning about things at the same time. And then, like I said, going into podcasts, like, podcasts been around for a long time. I remember the first time I saw the term podcast and whatnot, I think it was on the PSP, if I'm not mistaken. There's like this, I think it's, I don't know, it's like app or whatever, like one of the icons, and I think it was like RSS or whatever, because you need the RSS feed for your podcast. That's how you share it to different platforms. And that's how I was like, okay, podcast. And then when you get an iPhone or iPod, like even the early ones, there's an app that's dedicated to just podcasts, just a podcast app. I'm like, okay. So it always existed here, but it never blew up. No one ever really talked about it. And then, like I said, when I saw someone a YouTuber that I'm actually watching and listening to, he started doing podcasting. I still wasn't giving it a chance. And then I finally give it a chance. And then I'm seeing all these other YouTubers that I know doing podcasts, other celebrities doing podcasts, and it's like, like now podcasting is a huge thing. As long as it's been out, it's only now that it's exploding to like, now people are really like, it's becoming a business. Like, Joe Rogan is one of the biggest example of like how successful podcasting can make you. like where was this all these years ago? Like, now it's a thing, and it only makes me weird because that's not why I'm really doing podcasting. Like, I'm not here to like, oh, everyone is doing it and getting paid off of it. Like, oh, here, I'm going to jump into this too and do it. Like, that was not the thing. Like I said, like the first time I heard about podcasting from these dudes, and they weren't really getting paid from it at all at the time. Like, now they kind of are. They doing a lot of things now, but like before they wasn't getting paid for it. They just doing it because they were just doing it. And I was like, that was dope. I wanted to do that too. Like, I wanted to have my little platform of thing, because I know how entertaining me and like some of my friends are, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something with me and my friends, talk about things that we enjoy and put our little twist on it, and that was the whole point. But as time got over and I started doing this more, I started enjoying just having the outlet and having a way to talk about things and get things off my mind and off my chest. I can talk to you guys when there's no one else to talk to, type thing, But yeah, like, I don't know, get into my little Truman rants there, but that's my little thing. So yeah, like I said, so for you guys, so what my point was, I was asking if you share the podcast with your friends or not, or keep it alone, because like I said, like, get like listening to podcasts or listening to ASMR, like, telling people about it might sound weird. Like, hey, yeah, I listen to podcasts. Like, I just sit there and listen to people talk for hours. Like, hey, you sound like a weirdo. Or, hey, I listen to people whisper in my ear. Like, it's something like you don't want to talk about and share. But now that it just became such a big thing, now it's like, yeah. So my thing is when you got into podcasts, did you get into podcasting at a very early a time, when before it became such a huge corporate business thing behind it now? And like, was you trying to put people on to podcasting before it became a thing, or were you keeping that like, like, who's gonna sit there and listen to this? Like, I'm not gonna tell nobody about it. It's one of those things. But those are my list of questions for you guys. I know I usually do questions of the day, but I guess my whole episode is question of the day. Is this episode mainly just for the listeners, for you guys out there listening, So those are the things I just kind of, some of the things I want to know, some things, just asking you personally. You can answer yourself, but how you guys find out about my podcast, how you feel about my podcast. Do you enjoy it? Do you disenjoy it? Disenjoy it. Do you dislike it? Is there anything you want to tell me about it? I gave my social medias earlier. Digi Relaxation on Twitter. Digi_relaxation on Instagram. Digital Relaxation on TikTok. And my YouTube, Digital Relaxation. Any way you can find me and send me a message or whatever. If you want to send me an email, if that's what you're into as well, you can send me an email at relaxingthoughtspod@gmail.com. I would gladly like to interact with anybody who's listening, and if possible, like I said, I'm open to having guests, even though timing has been a big issue with me trying to get guests. But if you guys enjoy the podcast and you guys want to talk about certain things I have no problem revisiting topics to hear somebody else's opinion on it and their perspective on it, because everyone has, like I mentioned before, everyone has their own personal and unique individual journey in life that only you can see things a certain way. We can agree on things, but still it's your experience. So that's mainly it, man. Oh God, my throat kind of hurt now. I feel like we're talking for a minute. But yeah, so like I said, also, I don't know if I'm gonna launch that other podcast. If not, like I said, I'll promote that as well. Maybe you guys find me there, or maybe I end up getting more people listening to me on there compared to here. And I don't know, hopefully they come here or not, or vice versa, whatever. But I think that's gonna be it for me. Gonna be this is the home stretch of 2021. We're gonna hopefully, we end this year off great. And like I said, the last episode of the month, I'm gonna try to do a recap of the year. Nothing deep. I just, my personal experience and whatnot. It'll be cool to have a guest on there too, hear about their experience, but we know how that works. So that's mainly it. So I'll see you guys next episode. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and all of that good stuff. As always, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, you enjoy what you hear, and you want other people to enjoy this as well, be sure to share it. If you don't want to share but you still want to support, just don't know what the hell I'm about to say. Just rate the podcast 5 stars for me messing up. And yeah, all that good stuff. See you guys next time. Peace.